everyone to our 13 June 2022 Jackson County Commission meeting. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have a number of items in new business agenda for today and discussion items in our work session today. At this time, I'd like Mr. Manning, the County Administrator, please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rich, Mr. Venable,
Present.
Mr. Butler,
Present.
Mr. McBride.
Present.
We do have a quorum. If we would all stand, and I'd like to ask you before our county attorney to offer invocation, and Commissioner McBride, please lead our pledge of allegiance.
God, our Father in heaven, we look around us every day and realize how blessed we are to live in this wonderful country and this wonderful county. The physical beauty of the county is beyond any comparison anywhere in the world. And God, we're so thankful for that. We're thankful for the people of this county. We're also thankful for those that choose to serve the public in whatever manner they choose, whether it be in law enforcement or elected officials. God, we're just thankful for them, that they'll give their time and their efforts to serve the public in this county. God, watch over us, guide us, direct us every day. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the packet is the agenda for today's meeting. There is one addition that we need to add. We got a quote this morning from our voting custodian, who will be helping us in the process of testing all of our voting machines prior to the runoff election. So, in that quote is later in the packet that we will review. So, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the following adjustment, and that adjustment is a motion to approve the quote for the voting custodian for the runoff election.
I'll make that motion. Where do we need to add it on the agenda?
It will be new business under G. Okay, we do have a motion to.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye. Motion carries. Thank you. For the meeting, do we have any awards or presentations? If we have none, any public comment? And we have none. So with that, we'll move into the new business portion of the meeting. In the packet is the minutes from our May the 23rd, 2022 meeting. A rather short meeting. Minutes covers all the new business as well as the discussion in work session for that meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes as provided from the May 23rd, 2022 meeting?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Also in the packet, we have a resolution for our top of Alabama Regional Council of Governments. It is area agent on aging, and it is a agreement that we sign with TARCON every year. And so it is in the packet. Do I have a motion to approve and sign the annual Council of Aging agreement with TARCON?
I'll make that motion.
A motion, second? Commissioner McBride, second. Discussion. With that, let me ask our Director of Council of Aging any comments on this agreement.
Yes, thank you. What that is our state health insurance program contract. I think that's where we provide, Medicare and Medicaid assistance and can help people decide which plans may benefit them. So that's what that contract is for, stating that we'll provide that service.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, in the packet is, resolution for the transfer of American Rescue Plan Act funds to carry out an eligible project. We've been working on this for about 5 months for a $30,000 grant to our rescue squad to add 2 new roll-up doors. And they serve as our backup to the hospital whenever we're doing testing for pandemic type of events. But finally, we have it. So do I have a motion to approve and sign resolution for transfer of American Rescue Plan Act funds to carry out eligible project for the Scottsboro, Jackson County Rescue Squad?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, a second.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next in the packet is the resolution. It's the 2021 Division F Phase Regional Hazard Mitigation for the Hazard Mitigation Plan. Do I have a motion to approve and sign a resolution for Hazard Mitigation Plan update for storm shelters?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second, for discussion. I'd like our EMA director to, discuss, this, resolution.
Basically, TARCOG writes the hazard mitigation plan for all the counties in North Alabama every 5 years. It's required to be updated every 5 years. This is the, May 2016, this is the last one we had. There's not a huge amount of change to it. It's basically just updating information, demographics. TARCOG gets in contact with all of our municipalities and see what kind of needs they have, what they're seeing. The only change that Jackson County provided to that this year was we asked them to include an updated emergency communications addendum in this, being that if hazard mitigation grants come available, the hazard mitigation process, those kind of needs must be spelled out in your hazard mitigation plan. So that's why we had that added. Other than that, nothing has changed with this. The pressing issue now, we've been notified by state EMA that FEMA is ready to obligate $400,000 for our first 4 storm shelters, but they cannot do that until we have a resolution to accept the new hazard mitigation act.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions? Okay, no further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next in the packet is a motion to approve hazard mitigation grant program DR 4503 for matching funding assurance, requesting the Jackson County Commission agree for matching grant assurance. That will be paid, the matching funding will be paid by Highlands Medical Center. So do I have a motion to approve hazard mitigation grant program DR 4503, matching funding assurance for Highlands Medical?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? I'd like our EMA director to provide a summary of this.
Just like the storm shelters, providing help for our critical infrastructure is part of our hazard mitigation plan. So Highlands has come through us and trying to apply for, they're actually handling all the crossing the T's and dotting the I's for $1.5 million to replace the generator at the medical center. Reason being, if we had another extended power outage like we had in 2011, they could not run their imaging department on what they have now. So they said that's the most important diagnostic tool they have over there is MRI. It could not run unless they had commercial power or this generator. So they have assured us that it being a FEMA grant, it has to come through the commission, it has to come through the EMA office to be awarded. And that letter just basically assures that they will pick up the matching 25%, neither in kind or funds.
Okay, any further discussion, questions? further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next in the packet is a hiring committee's recommendation for selection for sanitation director position for the Jackson County Sanitation Department. Do I have a motion to approve hiring committee's recommendation for vacant sanitation director position?
I said that,
Hmm?
because I was in on that process, and I abstained from that.
Anybody can make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second the committee's recommendation.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, with that, no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
I'd like to abstain from voting on that.
Okay, and we have 2 votes and 1 abstention. So motion carries. Thank you. Next in the packet is a motion to approve a quote for voting custodian for runoff election. This is to have Mr. Mike Ashburn, as he always does, help us with our testing of our voting machines. And the quote is, you can see in the packet. Do I have a motion to approve quote for voting custodian for runoff election?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, but that's not on my agenda.
So we had,
No, this is
That's
the
what
ad.
we added. Okay.
Okay.
Added it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we have a second, any further discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. That concludes our new business portion of the meeting. We have several items to discuss in the work session, some being updates and some with presentation. First, we'll turn the floor over to EMA. There are 2 topics in the work session. One is the Skyline Schools storm shelter update. If you remember, we are available to get a 5th shelter. The idea was to place it at our Skyline School, and we needed to get an archaeological review of that site, and so let me turn it over to you, and the director, to give an update on that.
Y'all should all have this, cost proposal from Tennessee Valley Archaeological Research. They basically have sent us a proposal to, go over and survey the whole Skyline Farms property. And, it's about, well, it's not about, it's $100,000 to survey that site for a storm shelter that's going to cost us $100,000. I have asked FEMA to see if they could scale that back to just the area where we want to place that shelter. I'm still waiting to hear from them. But, if you will notice in your packets, if you have figure 4 there, it kind of shows the outline. Basically, this is a better map than we had before of the area of Skyline Farms. There are some portions of that campus around the baseball field that are not in that property. So I would like to have the commission's permission to go out and talk to Mr. McNutt next week after the runoff election and talk to him, see if it's a possibility that that piece of property could be used for that storm shelter in order to keep it on the school property. If not, we've talked with Mayor Skipper at Skyline, and he's agreed to house that thing at Skyline Town Hall, should we not have a place on the campus to put it. So that's our, at least we've got some options now we can have a phone.
Any questions? I would think we would want to try and keep this at the school, what's this my thought?
That'd be my preference.
School children that are there, the students.
Where you're proposing, would it be accessible after hours?
It would be, there'd be a little bit of walking, but it would be just as accessible as, I guess, for example, the 2 storm shelters at North Sand Mountain, it would be just as accessible as those, so.
Yeah,
I just wouldn't want it to be something.
Sure.
Somebody'd have to open the gate up.
Sure. No, I don't think there's any fencing or anything there. I'll know more about that next
What are
week.
you talking about between the gym and the school? Hunt them out.
What I'm thinking about. This is where we proposed it, right here behind the gym.
Right.
And I see all this property back in here. I don't know how much of that the school actually owns. But that
School
would,
actually owns this farm right here as well.
this would be the only property where we could put it and stay out of Skyline Farm.
So, I don't know that we require a vote other than asking to bring back summary of options, at our next meeting. Is that fair to everybody?
And this will not delay the first 4 shelters. If that money's gonna be obligated, it'll be obligated. So this will just take as long as it takes.
Paul, one other option while you're talking, I mean, is that something that maybe the school might look at, because they won't be able to do anything without the study, if they ever wanna build another building or something of that nature, so.
We've talked about that. The area where the current shelter is now is in Skyline Farms.
Right.
So, if they ever went out to do anything like that, they'd have to have an archaeological survey before they'd be able to turn the first spade of dirt.
Right.
Like Mr. Buckner, I'm concerned about the distance from the parking area to
Yeah.
so, if you could bring back maybe the footage of where
Okay.
the proposed site would be to the closest parking, because
It would be, according to the scale here, it would be about 750 feet. And I'm basing that from the distance from the front door of the gym to the baseball field. Now, other than that, I don't know where they'd be interested in putting it, but it needs to be on that side of the campus for various reasons.
Right. Cause they've got a shelter in there.
Got a shelter on the elementary side.
Is there any consideration of way we could reduce the footprint in the archaeological area?
I've requested that, hadn't heard back from FEMA yet, but I've asked them if we can scale that back to just the area that we're going to affect.
And get a requote
Yes.
for a smaller?
Yeah, TVAR says they'd be glad to look at a scaled down survey. But FEMA has to say yes.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, next, EMA is looking at a Homeland Security grant for public information and warning. There's several features to this grant, so let me again turn it over to EMA for discussion.
So we've been working on this grant. It opened up right before the election, and we're looking at a cap of $50,000. This grant's 100% reimbursable. We're currently still researching a few of the items we're looking at, but we're looking at updating our mass notification system, where we found some issues with Code Red over the past 6 months or so that are causing complications for us. We also use RapidCast for mass notification systems alerting to the courthouse. We're trying to find a platform we can consolidate that into one. So rather than using multiple platforms to attempt to accomplish the same thing, we're gonna try to consolidate that into one and get more for what we're paying out of. We're currently looking to be able to set off the tornado sirens automatically in case we're out of the office for some reason, or we have one of these severe thunderstorms that come through and just randomly drop a tornado. That'll increase our warning efforts. That's roughly gonna cost approximately $20,000. We're looking for a plumb case to help our rescue squads when they're out the walls of Jericho, that have a backpack style case that allow them to have internet and phone access within so many feet of where they're at. You know, help out at Club's Pocket, other places like that. We're looking to work with 911 to have a backup encoder for the tornado sirens, so that if we take a direct hit here to the courthouse, somebody would still be able to set the tornado warning sirens off in the event of a second tornado. And we're looking at a weather station. We're trying to target putting it at Buck's Pocket to keep an eye on the water down there and the amount of rainfall they receive, to work with the National Weather Service and the Park Service to be able to enhance those warnings in that area. The other thing we're looking at is a situational and public information platform that will allow us to put a common operating picture out there so anybody can log in, especially everybody in this meeting, be able to present information to the public in a real-time setting, and track resources, be able to enhance our communication efforts with, so not only the commission, but the public. And this will help us automatically collect and capture information post events too. So if there's trees down, storm damage, we'll be able to use that platform to enhance our damage assessments. Right now, we're looking at a total of $47,000 and $47,022 with a cap of $50,000. We're still waiting on a couple of quotes to come in for that. The grant closes June 30th at 5 o'clock. And I said it's 100% reimbursable. We expect that after we submit the request through ALEA to FEMA, that it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get paid back for that. So that's the grant we're looking at right now.
So is that anything we need to vote on, or?
Not at this meeting.
Okay.
We do have time to vote at the next meeting. This requires us to initially fund.
Fund it, and then we get all that
And
money back.
then with reimbursement.
Thank you for the work on this. It sounds like a worthwhile purchase.
It is, and it's time consuming, so I appreciate it.
I mean, whoever's stuck in Buck's Pocket or Walls of Jericho, they'll gladly appreciate the work you put in, and I know the guys leading the search would greatly appreciate the help too. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion, questions? Next on the discussion items is Revenue Commission, the annual insolvency list.
So every year, the commission has to vote on our annual insolvent tax, error and assessments and litigation list. What this is the insolvents are the personal property that we don't collect, business personal property, their equipment, they pay taxes on, they either close and shut down and move off. It's virtually impossible to track some of these people down to do that. There's also a means that we have where people who do not pay their personal property taxes will have to, we're not eligible to get another business license until they solve that. But every year you guys sign off on, I don't have a list yet, or CAMA vendor has yet to give us a final list, but it's just the process that we have to go through every year to close out a year and start collection for the next year. So this is opening that up to let you know what's coming. It's a form like this and has a breakdown as to what we're not collecting for each one. So if y'all have any questions about that.
Yeah, so
Yes.
this prohibition, is that just for Jackson County, or is that a statewide thing?
This is, every county has to do.
No, but I'm talking about if I don't pay my business tax in Jackson County, but I want.
Yeah, it's a law that they're supposed to, the entities and municipalities or the county is supposed to not agree to give them a business license until they resolve that.
That'd be something I'd want you guys to know if
Right.
somebody was jumping.
The most counties, of course, we could solve it as other counties might do, but most counties don't. We auction off their equipment. The only problem is when these people are out, they've taken their equipment out, we can't track them down. So it's virtually impossible to do that. If you can't auction all of them off, you shouldn't auction any of them off, is the way we look at it. So, anybody else have any questions? Hopefully we'll have that breakdown for you by next meeting.
Okay. No further questions. Next item on the work session is the request by Revenue Commission to extend the temporary position in mapping and appraisal.
Yes, sir. This position is a temporary position where we hire someone to come in and do our sketches, to digitize our sketches on the computer of all the structures that we have picked up in the county. We have somewhere between 30 and 40,000 structures that we have on our tax rolls. We're trying to, a lot of them have been hand drawn on the back of our PRC cards. We're trying to move up in the world technologically and get all these digitized on the computer, so we hire this position out for every 6 months. And the gentleman who's doing it now would like to be re-upped. His contract expired May 29th. We just didn't get it on the agenda prior to that May 23rd meeting. So.
Okay, any questions?
Well, is this something that's waiting our approval, or is he still employed pending?
He's still employed. What we'd like to do is just do that contract retroactive back to that date, and he's still working through.
So we could put this on the
Next agenda,
meeting, new
yes.
business?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay with that?
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is the maintenance. I had a request to take a look at the potential of putting new gutters on the Liberty Line building. We requested that go get a series of quotes. We're in the process of doing that. We have 2 quotes. We had a third, but it's been withdrawn. So let me turn it over to our maintenance director to update us on.
Yes, y'all should all have these right here. Both the quotes are from local contractors that we have. The other quote is from the company that did our roof over at Liberty Lane, and they wanted to reassess because prices have gone up in the time frame. It had been close to right around 30 days, and they wanted to reassess the quote. So that was last week, and I still haven't received an email from them with the quote on it. But it was substantially higher than these 2 quotes, substantially.
And both of these are local companies?
Both are local companies, yes, sir.
Okay.
And they're both really close in price. So that's always good.
I think one of the questions we had previously was we needed 6-inch gutters to make sure you could handle the capacity.
Yes, and one of the contractors on there did list that, what I asked for. The other contractor, it's not as well, they didn't put as much information on it, but it was explained to them what we were asking for, and I did call back and confirm that that's what he quoted us at, and that's what he quoted us at as well, was that, so.
Okay, any questions? I would propose that regardless of whether we get a third quote or not, that we proceed at our next meeting. Okay,
Yeah, material prices.
I'm sorry?
I said, yeah, because material prices
Yeah,
continue.
they're not going
Metal's going up about 15% every month.
I did confirm on both of them that their quotes are still good with the prices that they have, so.
Okay. Well, let me ask a question here. We do have one item in our packet where we're gonna be requested to set aside the rules and vote on. If we think that this is value to proceed at this point, at the time we do that, we can take both up at the same time? Both items? You're ready to take them in order of presentation?
No, you can take him up, because it's in the work session. It's not a
Okay.
problem.
Okay. All right, so we'll set this aside for a minute. And I presume you have a recommendation?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Next is, I'll give just a quick update. As you know, we've been working to get quotes to update our courthouse communications and IT network. Our IT director, Mr. Boydson, has been working on this a lot to get quotes. And he does have 3 quotes now that have come in. In your packet, you have what he would recommend as the quote. Every quote is for the same exact material and number of items, as well as the installation process. We do not yet have the resolution that we need to approve to purchase this, given we're purchasing these items out of our ARPA funds. He wanted to make sure we got this in front of you. At our next meeting, we will have a resolution, and he will bring forward the recommendation to the commission for vote. Any questions?
How long did they say these bids were good for? Do you know that?
It just got them,
Just like with the $30,000.
yeah, that's a good question.
Did get this processed.
So I do not know, that there, I don't know the answer to that, so that's a good question. So, but we do need, unfortunately, we do need a resolution to proceed, to select.
So you wanna put on the next agenda
Oh, yeah.
after we get the
Yes,
resolution?
that, the intent is next meeting, this will be there. Okay, next on the agenda is our, I'll turn it over to our county administrator. We do have a dormant account that, we need to service, so, Mr. Manning?
Yes, sir, thank you. The, Bancorp South, account that you have in your packet, that's an account that was opened up, if you can see, years ago, back when it was the Jackson County Park Board. And, after the county commission took over the operation of the, county park, this account just kept going because this particular account handled all the credit card charges that was done out there with the equipment they were doing. Since then, we have, rolled all of those charges over to our main operating account, which is First Southern State Bank. And this account's basically just sitting dormant, has been for the past 2 or 3 years. And in speaking with an auditor, they said, well, since there's nothing going on in that, we should probably go ahead and close that account and then just move that money into our operating account. So the request would be, to bring it to the commission to approve this, and then go ahead and we'll close this particular account out, and we'll move that sum of money over into our operating account. It'll not affect any of the funds or anything of that nature, just moving, just closing one account, transfer it into our main operating account.
Okay,
Any questions on that?
and we need this on the new business.
Yeah, we
for
could
the
wait,
next
put it
meeting.
on the next meeting, it'll be fine. We just want to get the commission's approval on it. No,
What generated the dollars that went into this account?
that would have been back when it was under the park board, originally when it started, I guess. No,
We're
since,
proposing to put the money into the general fund or into the parks?
well, it won't go into any one particular fund, it'll just go into the main cash balance of the entire county's, fund balance. So it's not gonna affect, the park fund or any one particular fund. It's just part of our total cash balance.
And you've been accounting for it in cash balance to
Yes.
this day? to
Yes.
this time?
Yeah.
So
It would be,
So this is included in the $3.6 million?
Yes, this is in- this is
This
all in-
not new money?
no, this is,
Okay.
no, this is included in every month's balance, and has been for all the years I've been here. And, again, it's quite old, because if you see, it was titled the Jackson County Park Board back then.
We loaned, reason I was asking, the general fund loaned
Yeah.
property purchase.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that won't affect this at all.
Okay,
We just need to.
so new business next meeting.
That'd be fine.
Next on the agenda is Public Works. We had a request from, Section, Mayor to take a look at a Main Street, issue, and so we turn it over to our Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Chairman. You should see a map and some other photos that accompany it, hopefully in your information. So I'll start by explaining the map and then walking through a little more detail about the problem. So this came to us first from a storefront owner doing a renovation. And it was, in specific, the structure number 98 on the map. And their concern was when they were removing concrete in front of the storefront along the County Road 43 Main Street, they encountered a water source. So upon excavating the concrete and further excavating to identify the water source, it was later tested and thought to be coming from the series of piping that is the red line indicated on the map. After further study and sampling, and then we actually performed a dye test where we introduced dyed water into the inlets near the Dutton Road inlet location, which are the black dots. And then that water was tracked through that drainage structure, as well as the excavation site pumped down to see if there was infiltration or that water was making its way. So, it was determined, at least from that test, that the water that was encountered at that storefront was not originating or being contributed from this. However, in inspection of the pipe, there were some concerns about its structural integrity, and going forward, once we learned that drainage structure actually goes under structure 97 on this map. So the next photos are just more information that show issues that exist with that lining of pipe. You can see a crack that's propagated up through the pavement, and the pavement is not all that old, as well as a view from inside the drainage structure. And I'll just point out I'm looking at the second picture after the map now. You can tell that this structure is actually riveted. So those are sections of corrugation that's where the pipe has been riveted together, versus a rolled or welded pipe of more modern. The next photo is actually a joint, and it's a little hard to see on mine, but this is taken near, if you're looking at the very map on the front, you will notice two green lines progressing from Dutton Road, which is the way this drainage structure will flow. After it crosses 43 Main Street, you'll notice two green lines there, and that represents joints in different sections of pipe that are joined together. So that photo that you see is a photo of that joint, and the point in that picture is just to show that it is not continuous and it's not joined in what we would consider a proper form. So it makes a turn there, and actually in the right side of the photo, that's large boulders that have been placed apparently upon installation, versus a miter and a band to where that would be properly joined and watertight.
Is this what you're talking about?
It's the photo right before that.
Oh, okay.
But that photo is, the next picture, this one, it is another example of some disjointed connections that exist there. So there are two prior to the structure that it is under on 97, and then the structure is underground for the entire length approximately of that red line. The 40 feet section that's denoted in yellow, the measurement from the end, is actually a section that we believe changes sizes. So from Dutton Road all the way under 43, it's a 24 inch. The disjointed connection where it changes angles, that's all 24 inch. And at the beginning of the run under the structure is 24 inch. However, at the end of that, it's an 18 inch. So somewhere in there, and we believe 40 feet back, is where an 18 inch was joined in. So,
Without and it releases on that,
that's the outflow section. Yes, sir.
so it's pretty common to shrink the size of the pipe as you go down the line. Septic practice.
Oh, the way around.
Is it commonly found? Yes. Is it proper? Maybe a different question. So that's the problem. And what we propose as a solution is summarized in this quote, but you need some more information. So there's 230 feet of 24 inch PVC pipeliner that's quoted here. So the way that would work is it would be a permanent PVC liner that's inserted and then steamed to take the shape of the structure that's there once this is cleaned out.
So you wouldn't have to dig this line up.
That's correct. So,
But obviously we've got a section back here that's not 24 inches, so will that liner work in that?
so not dig it up is mostly correct. So what we propose is we excavate the end of that 40 feet section. That'll do a couple things. That'll give us an opportunity to couple on after they're finished and finish that run properly, but it'll also let them gain access to the end of the run for them to pull their liner through. So it would insert from Dutton Road, make its way through those connections. We would have it pre-excavated and ready for them to pull their liner all the way to that point. And then we would join and finish out that 40-foot section to put it back like it was.
Why would Public Works have put this type piping that far off the road?
So the existing right of way would come somewhere near the storefront. But to answer your question 100%, I'm not sure. However, there was a project all the way back to 1950. This came up prior, just north of this location. It was a drainage issue, and they were requesting that we come and start where this prior project had finished and continue piping even further. So I feel certain that that project included, back in 1950, included some drainage improvements that extended well on out. And it's consistent when you get on an aerial photo and look at this location and this, it's fairly consistent and lines up to that same width. So I know right away was purchased. I know the road was widened. There was a lot of drainage work that took place. Why it extended all the way back that far in that location, I'm uncertain.
That would even predate the county having a public works, so before the county had.
Well, I mean, and I'm curious, I mean, this is not our property once you get out of the right of way, correct? Or is any of this our property?
So beyond right of way would not be. So what we would be working under is a drainage easement. So, the way I view this, to make it simple for me to understand, is if our roadway goes through somewhere and we have a drainage structure under it, and we have a need to either clear this out where the water gets away from the roadway to maintain the safe travelway, then it may go beyond right-of-way limits to be able to do that.
There would be an agreement for that.
Yes, yes, and, it would require two agreements, one for the owner of 98, and one for 97 rather, and one for 99. So you'll see in those lines that the structure just south of 97, that whole property for 99 has that whole parking area in the back. And we have both agreements signed by both property owners that they're in agreement for us to do this work as needed.
Is this, gravel, dirt, or that 40-foot section, what?
Yeah, it's just a gravel parking area.
Gravel, okay.
It looks like some trees, are the trees that are gonna have to be dealt with there?
There is one tree, I believe, near that, but, I do not think it will have to be removed.
Okay, any further questions or special? So propose take this up new business next meeting to approve proceeding. But you do have an issue you want to discuss your quote, or did I miss that?
Are there any questions about the quote?
I'm just wrapping my head around the length of this pipe, and the fact that we're going under existing buildings. I mean, are we under any liability with working on this pipe underneath?
You're never free from liability, but it appears, and Mr. Campbell and I talked about this before, it appears that the pipe may have pre-existed the buildings. So they built the buildings on top of our pipe, which is our right of way. So, I just don't see a problem from our standpoint.
Okay.
We have a right to use and maintain the right of way that we have.
And is it common practice to build on top of drainage pipes?
Work within right of way is done by permit only. Work beyond right of way, we, normally would rely on a zoning or building permit and inspection process.
Right.
That may exist in the town section, but it does not exist in the
I'm
county.
sure it didn't when that building was built.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's just a dentist office right there.
It is. not where the pipe goes under, but the
So
red,
there-
98.
99, the red top building just south of 97. That was actually, if you remember back when, that was the old auto parts store, late 90s.
Cause I will say 98 is like a, washateria or something.
That's one just up, but 98 is the one actually being renovated. It was recently purchased and being renovated.
Okay.
This is by far the most uninvasive way of fixing this.
Right, I mean,
It's
I
really neat how they do that thing.
I mean, I see I'm just, anytime you start working under a building, it makes me kind of.
The only other solution that we see at this point, if it's not something innovative like this, would be a total reroute some way. And it's gonna get particularly detailed.
And costly.
Very
I'll
costly.
have evaporators there or some crazy. Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you,
So
gentlemen.
We will add this to new business next meeting. Okay, next on the agenda is budget amendment. Let me offer, we're gonna discuss today sanitation and recommended budget amendment. It is dealing with the inflating cost of fuel and tires and materials. We're also in discussion with Public Works, getting information. Jonathan's done a very good job pulling together information there, and we need to take that up in our next meeting as well, as for an adjustment. In all cases, revenue budgets are there to cover, but we need to make, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, we just need to make adjustments to, budget line items, to deal with the increased costs that we're seeing. So with that, let me turn it over to, Mr. Manning.
Okay, thank you. If you'll look on the first sheet, on the spreadsheet, I've got the, first item is the garbage can, what we budgeted, what the increase will need to be. They need a new load of cans and they need them fairly quickly. There's, I think, Mr. Thompson told me a 10-week.
It's a 10-week wait period.
10-week waiting period now, where we used to get cans in 3 weeks or something, so, it's like everything else that's going on in the world now, so, before he can order and you say it, we need to amend the budget and put money in there for him. Also, we want to go ahead and address fuels while we were at it. If you'll see the amount we budgeted, and if you'll recall, the ones that were, in the budget meetings last year, we discussed not knowing how far this was gonna go, you know. We didn't know how high gas or diesel would go, but, we were, when we did our budgeting, we felt like $160,000 for that department was enough, but as you can see, it's not. So, recommending, looking at the numbers, we looked at the months left in the year, and the increase there would be $75,000. And then, same thing with tires. Getting tires and the cost of tires now is we're facing this in the public works also, and sanitation. And the increase there would be $24,000. So we're looking at increasing total expenditures $130,000, which would take it up to the $2,449,593. And for a footnote, our total revenues for the sanitation department, $2,521,728, and they're also running ahead. So the attached sheets behind this one, if you'll flip to the second page, I've circled, or I've wrote out to the side those 3 items that we're looking at moving upwards, so you can see on the budget sheet what we're talking about. And that would be the 3 that'd be the $130,000. And also, if you'll flip to the third sheet, we're running ahead of budget for revenues, so we possibly would have enough in here to cover this without a problem, but we just wanted to formally amend the budget for these items here since they're so substantial of an amount. So, the recommendation is to do the budget amendment and also, set aside where we could get the cans ordered, because 10 weeks, would really put them in a dilemma out there.
Okay, any questions?
Two things, just my own ignorance, I guess. I thought we bid fuel by the year and had contracts from suppliers that guaranteed the price for the year. Do we not do that?
Jonathan, would you update how that process works?
You are correct. However, it follows, anything with bituminous materials follows an index. So a disclaimer, or one of the bid qualifications, is that it's tied to a index for bituminous material products. So it basically adjusts depending on the month that is bid versus whatever month it's being used. So it would follow that same index as prices would. So it's a way on volatile products to not leave a supplier in a bad situation and make them, force them into a price at bid time that's not competitive.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification, because I was confused, but your statement of fuels, because I thought we should have a consistent price, but it's not a consistent price. Okay. The other question I had, you felt confident that we would have the money to cover this, and that's based on
Yes.
that we've received, we're at, the ideal projection would be that we would be at 34%, and we're only at 26%, so you're saying we're ahead of schedule.
We're ahead of schedule on the
Right.
revenue side.
Okay.
The lower number of the revenue side is a good thing. So, yes, sir, we are ahead of schedule there. And, so there shouldn't be an issue there covering that.
So I understand, last year when we established budget, we projected revenue of 2.5 million, which left us roughly 200,000 margin. Expenditure projection versus revenue projection, so we're starting to eat into that. I know everybody can do math, but just a heads up as we're trying to project to the end of the year.
And also, this will naturally carry forward into our upcoming budget discussions for next year, as I've been notified you guys about. And some of these things we're gonna take a good hard look at this year because of the situation we're all in, especially the ones with the heavy trucks, the sanitation department, the public works department. Getting parts, the cost of parts, a lot of different things going on with them, just trying to locate parts and get a truck back on the road. And then if you can locate the part, the price of the part is outrageous, so. And it's not just us, every municipality in every county that I've talked to is fighting this same battle.
I know the sheriff's department's running into the
Sure,
same issue.
right.
Last I looked at, just for discussion, so we understand how it's affecting us across the commission. Budgeted about 12K per month, and it's just running roughly 19, if I remember the last time I checked the numbers, 19,000 for fuel. So this is something we're gonna have to pay attention to further.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion, any concerns about the projection that we have here as we do an amendment?
Amendment for the fuel, did you take in consideration any future rises in fuel costs?
What we did-
Sadly, I don't think we hit the ceiling.
Yeah, what we did on the fuel, Jason, is we looked at just the previous month. We didn't take the number and divide it by the number of months. We took what we paid last month and multiply that by the time the remaining months are, instead of just projecting a percentage of it or something. Because we know it's probably not gonna be declining any, so that's the way we come up with the next 4 or 5 months number there.
I think that's a very good consideration though, every
5 months. from
education,
now,
yeah.
It could be $6 a gallon if it keeps going
Well,
up like it went the last 6 months.
increase, so.
So certainly as we look at next year's budget, we very strongly need to consider that. Okay, any, given that, are we okay at least right now with this amendment?
Yeah, we felt
We'll
like,
have to
when we
consider
sat
that
down and
again,
looked,
but-
when we sat down and looked at this number and projected out the remainder of the year, we felt like at this time, John and I, when we sat down and looked at it, that would be sufficient. And again, if it goes up $2 a gallon between now and then,
Yeah, we may have
we're gonna
another budget amendment
we-
between now and
We may
then.
have to revisit the situation again, you know.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I feel comfortable with this one,
Okay,
especially with
so
their.
let me ask to make sure we all, as you've looked at this, you've looked at other accounts as well, other line items in budget as well. And so far, those are holding
Seem to be
pretty good
okay.
too. Okay. Okay, any further questions? So I think at this time, given the need to order cans to try to meet that 10-week schedule as best we can. And also we want to take up the issue of the gutters. If I can, I'm gonna back up just a little bit. Work session, you have a recommendation on the gutter contract?
Yes, I do. If you'll look at the Wasco Metalworks quote, it does say that there's a deposit that's required. I spoke with them, there is no deposit required for us as being local government. I've been assured that, so, I would like to make the recommendation that we go with the Wasco Metalworks quote for $10,310.40.
Okay. So at this time, can I get a motion to set aside the rules for the purpose of voting on Liberty Lane gutter contract, not contract, but proposed offer or bid, and voting on motion regarding budget amendment for solid waste? If I said that properly.
Yeah.
Do I get a motion to set aside the rules?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Motion carries. At this time, can I get a motion to approve proceeding to establish a contract with Wasco Metalworks, lower cost provider, for gutters, for Liberty Lane building?
I'm abstaining from voting on this because I do business with.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion,
Second.
second. All in favor say aye. Motion carries. Next, I have a motion to proceed with adjusting the solid waste budget with a budget amendment.
I'll make that.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Motion carries. Thank you. That concludes our items in our work session. At this time, any reports from staff? Our first county administrator.
I'd just like to thank John Thompson for his hard work in keeping all the purchase orders up to date. All the work he's put forth out there. Done a great job, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. County engineer.
Thank you, sir. Project updates. Please interject questions, any you have as I go through this. I'll start with rebuild, County Road 38. It's awaiting a scrub and sand seal, and then striping will also follow that. There's a bridge rail project that was a supplement to that. It's a HRRR project that's scheduled for August letting. County Road 96, Patching work is complete. It's expected, the micro surfacing, which will be the final treatment, that's expected in July, and then there will be permanent striping. County Road 88, you probably saw the notice for the cross drains work that take place on 88. That has been delayed some, so, we look for that to happen probably the next when the wearing surface happens on some of the others, so there'll be a new advertisement going out for the next period, for that. That's actually 10 locations and 8 different cross drains, so a lot of work to occur on 88. County Road 83, it's still awaiting the scrub seal and the overlay, but the patchwork finished last week. County Road 75, the eastern section for the railroad bridge and the patching is complete. The wearing surface under the railroad bridge and the work there is complete. The remaining part of that project is awaiting the scrub seal and the overlay. And then, 58 is still awaiting permanent striping. So a lot of work has taken place and a lot of work started, just not a lot finished at this point, unfortunately. And then, on the local road front, so that's the chip seal roadways that are prepared. There are 2 roads plus high top circle remaining. So County Road 140 is still has work to be done. County Road 56 in Gaunt still has work to be done. And then high top circle still has work to be completed. So don't take that as the rest are finished, but they have been prepared. Aggregate has been stockpiled and we're awaiting the contractor to pay those. So, we do have word that we can expect him this week. So later this week. All is weather and schedule dependent, as you know, but that's, you've got what we've got. On the slope stability projects. This is a note from, the operations manager with SNME, our consultant. They're finished with survey and drilling. The drilling schedule was pushed back, finished with surveying. The drilling schedule was pushed back due to mechanical, maintenance, and weather issues. They will be on site this month to complete the drilling. He's requested files from the surveying and geophysics to send over to our office for review, and he will keep us updated on the progress. The survey has proved to be way more difficult than expected on 93, and they do apologize for the delay. So, I guess a good note in that is we haven't been billed for any deliverables at this point, so they've just been working. And just for information purposes, I glanced back at their proposal and what we represented to you guys, and we represented about 18 weeks, breaking down their schedule for the different components. And we gave them the green light around mid to late January. So if we spot them a couple weeks and call it 20, then, you know, you fast forward 5 months and we're about right in now. So I don't think they're hitting on what they anticipated, but we're not grossly off, at least at this stage.
Okay, one discussion further here. We've talked before about the 2022 Laurel Road plan. Jonathan has given that to us. I think I propose that we conduct a special work session on Laurel Roads on the 23rd of June, so we get it done before the next commission meeting, and we can meet and vote on Laurel Roads. I know it's short notice, about a week and a half out. Jonathan is putting that information together. We're gonna take a look at it Tuesday of next week, and then have a detailed session then. So, anybody?
I'll be here on the 23rd. In the evening?
Yes.
I can be here.
What time? What's a good time?
We're starting at 5, getting off at 30 right now because of heat, so I mean.
3:30?
That's fine with me, yeah.
Okay, you can't be here, so we can get you the information ahead of time. Okay.
Get back.
Okay, let's go, so right now, let's look at, we'll get a notice out on 23rd for 3:30 for, Laurel Road. Jonathan, you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm gonna let you go ahead and discuss the one you and I talked about, but we're holding off to next meeting. But, I got a short notice invitation to talk to John. And in conversation, he asked if there's anything he could do to help us. I had the data on what Jonathan provided on County Road 74, so I gave it to him. And he offered to pay half of the cost to redo that 1 mile of 74, that's Old County Road 72. We need to go take a look at the data, make sure we have good data, bring that before the commission. The estimate was $260. He was willing to pay $130,000, and that would be rebuild, right, rebuild.
It'd just be ST dollar, state fund dollar.
So we'll bring that before commission next meeting. Okay. All right. With that, county attorney?
I don't have anything, thank you, sir.
Okay, anyone else? Update, brother? Okay, comments from commission, Commissioner McBride, District 4.
Nothing to add, sir.
District 3, Commissioner Buckner.
Just happy to be here, thank y'all for coming out.
District 2, Commissioner Billmore.
Nothing to add to that, sir.
For me, just a couple of reminders. Runoff election is Tuesday, 21 June. I know EMA and everybody is scrambling to make sure they're prepared.
Bear with us this
prepared for
week,
that.
machines will be, start being delivered to precincts.
Our next meeting, we will be working to approve board appointments for 2 boards, Economic Development Authority. We have 1 expiring term, and we have 2 positions of expiring terms on E911 boards. What I've asked is our folks to get together, what we've had is applications for everybody to take a look at between now and the next meeting, so you've got that information.
Thanks, sir.
We have very good applications for both board sets. Bob has put out notice on public budget hearings that is starting in July. And we're still in process of have open applications for park and recreation director. So with that, our next meeting date is June 27th. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.